TIFU by thinking my car heater uses fuel. So, I grew up in a place where it was always warm and we never needed the heat on in cars. We'd only use AC and sparingly because it uses a lot of fuel. And for months now, I've been driving around cold because I thought keeping the heater on would burn through my gas in the same way. I was trying to save money. But guess what? I just found out that using the heater in your car doesn't actually use up fuel. It's essentially free because it gets warmth from the engine. The fan uses the tiniest amount of energy, so you can stay warm without having to worry about burning through gas. I'm still trying to figure out how I feel about this whole thing. On one hand, I'm so happy that I can finally be warm in my car. But on the other hand, I can't help but feel a little dumb for not knowing this all along. When else in life does heating not cost money? I just assumed. Loudly crying. TLD or been driving around cold because I assumed heating uses fuel like AC. Turns out it's basically free. Yes. Internal combustion engines have to dump a huge amount of waste heat from the radiator to keep working. What you don't use to heat the car gets blown into the air. CHP, combined heat and power, is a thing. Gas or diesel engine drives an alternator to make electricity. It's cheaper than buying it from the grid because you avoid the big transmission losses. Resistance in the distribution cables. The heat is free if you can use it for space or water heating. Power stations have huge evaporative cooling towers to chuck that heat away. Mythbusters says your AC on versus off has very little effect on fuel. No worries. Electric cars drop range massively when you run them with your heater on, so you were just a bit too far in the future with your knowledge. Some question, if I turn my AC off, my windows get every time foggy. My old VW would switch from gas mileage to liters per hour when you stopped. With the AC on, it was burning 0.2 L per hour over idling with it off. I assume when you're driving this loss would be a little less maybe. Either way, I'm not going to be hot for 0.2 L an hour. Well, F me sideways and call me Sally. I could have sworn it would burn through my gas quicker, so I would try to be modest with how often I use it. It was an option on older, air-cooled Volkswagen cars to have a small gasoline-powered heater that I'm sure didn't just leak tons of carbon monoxide into the cabin. Well, technically it does use fuel then. Also originally from somewhere warm. Moved somewhere that gets cold about 20 years ago. I did manage to let someone else from back home know this before they moved. When they mentioned concerns about fuel economy, one thing to know is that many cars will use the compressor, particularly for the defogger. This will use a little fuel, and can usually be disabled, though I would just leave it on. Running the AC doesn't really change your fuel consumption that much as compared to driving with the windows down. Just don't turn on the heat in a Tesla, it burns through the battery. Feel the same thing about gaming in the winter, smiley face. My dad owned a car that had a gasoline heater. I think it was a Crosley, but can't be certain. He said it was great at the drive-in theater, because you had heat without running the engine. My daughter, years ago, thought the same. I had walked past her car and saw blankets in the back seat. She was maybe 17 and I was concerned. WTF is going on here? I asked her about it, in my head ready for an important convo about sex. She replied that she wasn't going to waste her gas turning the heater on and was making anyone who complained about being cold wrap up in a blanket. I pulled it together and explained that was the AC, not the heater. I don't know that I've ever laughed harder. Make sure to buy and fill up your blinker fluid. Now you know. Something that you may not know. Above a certain speed, car model dependent, your air conditioner uses less fuel than keeping your windows open. As you approach highway speeds, open windows cause more and more drag to the point where closing them and running your AC will improve your fuel mileage. Dude, use your AC, it doesn't convince that much more fuel. The title made it way worse than it seemed.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Haircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.